Hello everyone, welcome to a stream. Apologies for this bad light coming through the window. Hopefully you can hear me okay, audio levels are okay. So yeah, once I've got that confirmed, we can start the show, as the phrase is. So, like I say, hopefully everything's set up okay. In the last week or two, I've had a laptop hardware failure, so I basically lost everything in terms of settings and everything like that. So hopefully Scott will let me know that the audio is okay in a second. I know there's a little bit of a delay. I'm not sure if I like the sound or good music, perhaps a little loud. Excellent, so I can turn that down. So I think hopefully that has lowered the desktop audio, and I may well stop that because YouTube is being weird with ads and ad blockers and everything like that, so we may turn that down. Hi Kostas, nice to see you. Yeah, so what I probably will do in a second, once we've got everything up and running, is I will probably move the camera. So you just have to put up with this big strip of light for the moment. That's better. Excellent. Thank you, Scott. So today, trying to remember the last stream where we were. I think I was placing electronics, but I hadn't wired everything up. I think we put the foam around the panels, but we hadn't fitted the panels. Definitely didn't have any doors on. But where we are now is basically that the printer is all working. I think what I said in the last video, or in the last stream, was that I was going to be doing a video on the screen and then look at the CAN setup, which I obviously have done, and I did forget to grab the link, so I'm just going to do that quickly, and apologies for the light. So there's two links that I'm going to put in the description, which are excellent guides on how to set up CAN. So this is the first one. I'm not sure if I can change. I think where I can go to put that in the description. I'll put them in the chat for now. So this is the Voron CAN bus guide. And send. So this is a written guide on GitHub by I'm not going to be able to pronounce it, but basically this is a written guide on how to set up CAN. And then let me find I'll be with you in just a second, guys. So let me find. So I'm just going to link you to this other channel. So this is Steph's YouTube channel. So this is hang on. So this is Old Guy Melt This is where my terrible spelling comes in. Fysetc, and this is Steph. And Steph did some videos on how to set up cans. He was basically following the GitHub guide and doing it step by step. So I then used both of those resources to do my setup. So rather than me show you how to do it, I thought I'll point you to where I went to show me how to do it. And it's a really good couple of resources. So yeah, for me personally, it worked really well. Like, I had no trouble setting canvas up. Like I say, I followed Steph's videos and then the written guide on GitHub. I'm much better at learning through like seeing something done and physically doing it rather than reading the guide. So that's why I used both resources, and it was really easy. So look at those guides, and I'm sure you'll get canvas set up as easy as I did. So let's just read this message. By the way, the clips and hinges I started printing and replaced the default ones. They are much better and easier when I want to take off the panels for maintenance or adding mods. Yeah. The annex clips are like really, really good. They're so easy to use. And like Costas is saying, actually, I mean, prime example, I had put the panels on and then thought, oh, I better calculate the rotation distance for the extruder. So I just took the top panel off, which makes it a lot easier on a Trident to get to the extruder. Really quick and easy. Now the door hinges, they're a modification I made to an existing model. So in the description is firstly my Voron collection on printables, and then if I've remembered them, I've put all of the mods or all of the files that I've used in the description as well separately. So these doors actually lift straight off, and that's basically using a 30 millimeter long 5mm diameter pin in the top and bottom, and I modified the file that's on printables because that one wanted you to screw the drill holes in the acrylic, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to use VHB tape, so that's my modification, and so far they work really well for me. Now I may have, so on my 2.4 next door, I've got a gap down the middle of the door because when I put the panels on, I didn't really line it up very well. If anything, I've gone the other way on this, and this is they're a little bit too close, but that means I get a better seal on the door. A magic trident. You wait until I turn it on and you see the lights, mate. Like, this has got so many. I've gone overboard with the LEDs. So what I thought I'd do to talk about the whole thing is to basically start at the bottom, and then we'll work our way up talking about the things that are in it. But what we should probably do is start a print while we're talking about it. So I wanted to wait to turn it on until I was streaming so that you could see all the lights and everything. So many of these are going to this stupid heart thing that YouTube have put on there. So many of these are going to go flashbang when we turn it on. Yeah, not that many. Let's just turn it on and then you can see. So it's a little bit awkward to get to the switch at the back, but turn that on and then we've got the screen coming on. So I've got let me switch over to this other camera. So sorry if this is a bit. So this is obviously the BigTreeTech TFT 50 touchscreen. I did a video. You could maybe move, switch to the front. Yeah, I could. There's something else going to be going on the front, which I'll talk about a bit later on. So this is obviously booting up. And then it should, hopefully, although it has gone blank and it doesn't normally go blank. There we go. So it's gone into Clipper screen. And it's just trying to connect to the printer, which it should do in a couple of seconds. But it said it's unable to do so, so we better. Let me put that camera down. Oh no, it has now done it. It lies. It has now connected, and then we've got our stealth burner LEDs, and then basically around the two sides and around the front we've then got RGB LEDs as well, so they can obviously be controlled from the software, and we can make them do basically whatever we want. Surprised you didn't opt for the layered mesh skirt. Again, because there's something going in here, that wouldn't work, but that does look good. I haven't done that on any of my printers, to be fair. I'm going to have to keep turning this light on and off to stop the glare. But yeah, so obviously that's all now powered on. I'm just going to check something, because I want to briefly touch on a slight issue I had. I just want to make sure that either it's not necessarily fixed, but that it does work. Right, so that basically I've still got an issue, and that is that the excuse me, that the Wi-Fi doesn't always connect. And I thought I'd fixed it, because I thought it was, and it only doesn't connect when the screen is attached. And I thought I'd fixed it by powering the Pi from the 5-volt supply. But for some reason it's still failing to actually connect. But I'm not really sure why, to be honest. So I can tell it to connect, but I think it just doesn't it doesn't start the Wi-Fi module, if you want to call it that, but quick enough. What I might just try is to do a reboot. Let's just try a restart, and then host, and see if that grabs an IP address. Yeah, so the only problem is the Raspberry Pi doesn't have the ability for an external antenna. It's a bit weird. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Normally it was fine the first time you turned it on, and it would grab an address and work, and there wasn't a problem. Hello Maple Leaf Makers, nice to see you. And I sort of knew that wasn't going to work a second ago, because I saw on the screen that it brings up an basically an error to do with the DHCP daemon, or whatever it's called, and so it doesn't grab an IP address. So I'm not entirely sure why that is. Like I say, I thought it was a power to the Raspberry Pi issue because I was powering it from the Octopus board. I then started powering it from the 5-volt supply. Right, so this time it's grabbed an IP address. So it should now work on my network. Hello Richard, nice to see you. So I think it's, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the problem is. It's something I've obviously got to look into. But it doesn't seem to always reliably grab that IP address. And it's not actually, oh yeah, so it has now connected. So it does work, but that's something I've got to look into. There is an option to solder in an antenna connector on the Raspberry Pi, but it is a tedious job. You may not want to do it. Yeah. You are probably right about me not wanting to do it. And the thing, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the problem is. The 2.4 next door has got an orange Pi in it, and before I even used it, I did actually add. So I've got an antenna sticking out in the skirt next door. So that has got an external antenna. So yeah, you are right in that could be the issue. So let's get a print going. I think I'm just going to print a Voron cube. I've got one sliced on here already. So rather than have to go through finding a model, slicing it and whatever, I think what I'm going to do first is actually home it, because I want to flip the PE over and try and print on the textured size. So what could I was just about to show you something or tell you something, and I forgot. Oh yeah, so did you fit your carbon tap? No, that is going on the 2.4 next door. I wanted to get this, so this stream is going to be the last one for the Trident, and so I can then concentrate on doing that, because what I want to do, and you can perhaps all give me some suggestions, is I want to be able to show a good comparison between basically the inductive sensor and that setup, and then putting a carbon fiber tap on, which we can have a look at in a second. So I was going to do input shaper before and after, but I wasn't really sure what other things to do to like actually show that. Yeah, so if you've got any suggestions on things that I can do as tests, and while it's not fitted, I can obviously do those tests on the stock setup, and then we can do it on here. So yeah, I'm just going to home this. So this has got sensorless homing, rather than, because I wanted to sort of have as minimal wiring back to the toolboard, back to the control panel as possible. So we'll just home that. So this is all sensorless homing, and then the Z probe is a Cartographer eddy current sensor. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lower the Z so that I can basically flip the PI over. A speed benchy. So how does, grabbing a bit of kitchen tool, how does a speed benchy, what is that got, what relation does that have to a leveling sensor? Like, because if obviously I fit the leveling sensor and do input shaper, any difference should be accounted for. So we shouldn't see like ringing or anything like that, because we're basically not gonna, we're gonna cancel that out, aren't we? So let's put this in. I'm just gonna give this magnet a wipe because that was a bit dusty from before I put the sheet on. One thing I miss on this printer, say over my, as a prime example, over my V0s, is the locating. I can never get this on straight. There we go. Good enough. Yeah. So let's just home that again. And this is just 2 cubes around the bed. Yeah. So to show the accuracy, I suppose, and how well the mesh is created. Might have to just give that another wipe in a second. So yeah, so this has got a Cartographer 3D eddy current sensor. Don't know how people are going to feel about that, but that is the situation. Right, let's get this preheating. So I've obviously done all of the PID calibrations for the hot end, for the bed. Oh, string died. Is it back now? It says it disconnected and reconnected, so I'm hoping that it's back. As we start talking about, right, so the difference between Beacon and Cartographer is the chip that the boards use. So the Cartographer, now I can only talk about the one that I've got, right? So I know there's a lot of what's the word, discussion about it, whether it's a clone or a knockoff or whatever you want to call it. Okay, if you've spent any time in 3D printing, you know that the way things get, I don't know what's happening with the camera, but that might have just briefly turned off and on again. So in 3D printing, things get cloned, they get remixed, they get modified. Okay, that is what, right, yeah, so that's the thing, right? Things have to be cloned for things to evolve. That is the whole thing. That's rep wrap. Okay, so the Cartographer uses a RP2040 chip. Now I don't know anything about like the hardware and the coding and all of that firmware stuff. That's got nothing to do with me. I've just been sent one to use, and that's what I'm using. So I think the main difference is that it's got a different chip, and it's obviously a different firmware. So that would be the main difference, I suppose, if you want to call it that. And until I've done a significant amount of printing, I'm not going to know whether it works, whether it works at all, or if it if anything degrades over time or anything like that. So really, I've got to about use it to be able to give an opinion on it. So it's mounted, and one of the reasons, like a lot of people have been very vocal about the fact that it's the same shape as Beacon. The reason for that is because if you, like all of the BL Touch clones, right? If they brought one of them out and completely changed the shape and the mounting options, it's not going to go anywhere. People aren't going to create another mount for just another probe that does the same thing. So yes, it's the same shape, uses the same form factor. As far as I'm aware, the coil shape was an existing thing anyway. I don't, like, I'm not 100% on anything I'm saying in that regard. But yeah, it's the same shape. So any mount that works with Beacon works with the Cartographer probe. So there you go. And like I say, I've only done one print on this printer, and that was the Voron cube that we're going to print again. I've already printed it once, and that's the only print I've done. So I've got to get some testing done myself before I can really give an opinion on it. But you know, that's what RepRap's about, is to innovate. And now I know that there is, so it's excuse me, it's a USB connection, same as Beacon, but there is a CAN bus version coming. So already we're talking about innovation. We're talking about a change that's occurred from Beacon to Cartographer to Cartographer CAN bus, right? So the more that there are out there, the more things that can change. So you know, let's embrace that rather than criticize it. Yeah, so there's going to be a CAN bus version. In terms of the price, it is cheaper than Beacon. You know, it is what it is. A lot of people will say, oh, that means it's inferior. Not at all. What it could mean is that Beacon is overpriced. You can't really judge that. So this is heating up. So let's have a look at the, shall I move, what I might do is move the camera now so that you can basically view inside the printer. I can then look at the chat better. So should I put you onto another camera? If you just bear with me a second, and I will be right back with a different camera view. Okay, so I'm back. So I've just moved the camera basically, and so you can see it better. So someone has said that they checked if Beacon was going to make a CAN bus version, and no, because CAN bus can't turn Beacon because it's too slow. We'll wait to see. Stephen has asked, sorry, and this probe is what again? It's an eddy current sensor. So there's a couple of them on the market now. There's also the one is it called the BL probe or something? No. There's another one that uses a similar type of technology. This probe is similar to Beacon. It uses the same technology to scan the bed surface with a different chip, and it's cheaper. Yeah, so that's basically summed it up perfectly. So let's have a look. So we're at correct temperature. So what I'm going to do is just in my web browser, it's easier for me to control it from here. Is that I'll just start the print from here. We'll let it go through its sequence. That's homing, sensors homing, as I said. Let's, for the moment, let's open the doors, just so you can see it a little bit better. But we'll close it once we get into it. So it's now reheating the bed because it obviously dropped a little bit. And then it will go through its sequence. The one thing that I would perhaps change about the setup, and it's not sort of finalized at the moment, is if I just fan this up a bit, you can see the CAN cable and the PTFE. I don't like how it sort of, so it's going to hit the LED baffles on the side. It only does it when it does the bed scan. We'll see over time whether I try and sort of change anything in that regard, but that's what it is at the moment. So this is going to try and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut these doors so that the chamber temp can get up a bit. That needs to get up to about 35 before it can start printing. Did you put both cables into the cable sleeve? Also, did you add anything to support? So yes, I've used the nylon sleeving to put the USB lead and the CAN bus lead together, and then the PTFE tube is then zip tied to it, which I haven't actually cut the ends off the zip tie, as you can see. And then in the, let me switch over to the other camera a second. So over the back here, we've got this support arm, which will rotate. And then that arm just holds the PTFE tube that comes out the back. So there is that support. So yeah, that's the support at the moment. I think what it potentially is that the PTFE tube is slightly too long at the moment. But I didn't want to make it too short that it's going to sort of pull. So at the moment, that's the situation. But it's not too bad. Like I say, once it's done the better long than short, yeah. But like I say, I think potentially it could be a little bit shorter. So then also on the stealth burner itself, you've got this other print on the top there, and that just angles the PTFE tube into a better arch, and that actually does stop it from hitting on the top too much. So that's another thing that I've got on there. Again, that's all linked in the description if you wanted to look at those files. So yeah, this is just heating up. Chamber's got to get up a little bit hotter. So while that's doing that, we'll talk about some other bits and pieces. So as you can see down in the bottom corner, down here, we've got the Nevermore version 6. So we've got Nevermore filter in there because we've obviously blocked off the back. And I used the Nevermore on my other printers, so I've added that into here as well. We've obviously got CAN bus running our entire tool head basically. So it's doing the LEDs, the heater, fans, etc. That's working really well. In terms of, so the kit, the Fysetc kit is a slightly older generation, if you want to call it that. But originally comes with the parts for Afterburner. And as I was saying earlier, I basically switched over, decided from the start it wasn't going to be a stock build. We've got CAN bus, we've got Stealth Burner. Yeah, so we've basically added a few nice things along the way, so rather than have to do it later. And the reason that Fysetc sell a kit like that is basically because I don't think they are going to restock their Trident kit, and so they were basically selling off the kits to make warehouse space. So rather than them go in, upgrade the kits, they just decided let's sell them off, and they were a really good price. So it gives people the opportunity to get a kit without having to, and then they can save the money that they save. Actually, they can upgrade quite easily. Let's just put this camera over here so that you can see me while this is still heating up. Turn that on, you might better. Oh, that doesn't really help, but we put this camera up here instead. We have a high vantage point. Yeah, so we're just basically now waiting for things to heat up. We shouldn't hopefully be too long. If anyone has any questions about the kit, please feel free to ask, and I will try to answer them. Obviously, I don't work for Fysetc, so I can't answer specific questions in that regard. But anything about my build you want to know, please feel free to ask. And I can actually, if I remember where I've put it. That is a good question. Where have I put it? I have actually got another beacon. Sorry, not a beacon. A Cartographer probe here. So if we want to have a look at it, we can. I opted after a 2.4 to try a rat rig V-core. No Trident on the bench yet, but I'm considering it. Yeah, I haven't got a rat rig, but I have sort of helped someone with a semi rebuild of their. I think they've got the biggest one, like 500. Well, at the time, I'm sure it's 500 by 500 by 500. It's absolutely ginormous. And I have no experience of actually using it proper, but it is built like a tank. Like, it was so chunky, it was unbelievable. So that was pretty cool. I think so. I will probably talk a little bit later about my plans for yeah, exactly. Well, see, the person I was helping is actually he makes I don't know if he primarily makes Mandalorian armor, but he does props. So he wanted that big printer to be able to do like full one piece chest armor and stuff. So he's got his whole setup in a whole separate building basically, and he's got double doors and everything, so he had plenty of room to get it in. But it's like I say, like a tank. Really nice. So yeah, if we wanted to have a look at a Cartographer probe, then I have actually got one here. This is one of the options that you can get it in. And so this is basically not in a setup, and you can solder it yourself. So this is the actual brains, if you want to, that's the best term. And like I say, this is an RP 2040 chip, and then this is the actual coil. I don't know if I can get it to an angle that you can actually see the round wire coil. And so you'd obviously solder this together in the different formats you can put it in, and that's basically determined by what printer it's going to go on, I believe, and how much space you would have to actually put the tool head. So yeah, so it basically comes like that. Now this was sent way before they actually went on sale, but now they do come with a USB cable as well. So let's just have a look at what's happening now. So the hot end is now heating up to 150. So if I switch you over to here, we'll actually start doing some stuff in a minute. So my 2.4 next door has got stealth burner, but it was I upgraded it from afterburner, and I've never ran the extra wires for the LEDs. So it's quite a novel thing for me to have LEDs in the tool head. I'm just thinking if I can somehow block a bit of light out for you. Let me just see if I can do that. Does that help a little? So we're now doing our Z tilt. And that's done that. So now it's doing the mesh. And you see what I mean about it hitting that. And it only does it on one side because that's the way that the PTFE tube is going. So I'm going to have to look at what options I've got for sort of trying to stop that. So it's now doing the return journey. So this is doing a 25 by 25 point bed mesh. There we go, it's done that. It's now going to heat up the hot end. So that was a fairly quick process to do the Z-tilt and bed mesh. I might have to just do a little bit of baby stepping, because I have, obviously I did the last print on the smooth side of the PEI, so we might have to go down a little bit, get a bit better squish. That's correct. So it does need a metal print surface to be able to, for the eddy current sensor to actually be able to work. We might just come down a little bit on that to needs to be quite a way off where I want it to be, but that's probably because I was using actually, if I'm in the way there, the smooth side. I might actually be a little bit close now, because the problem is it takes a little while to update, I suppose. So whether this sticks or not, we'll have to wait and see. Let's see if I can get you a little bit closer. I might be able to take you a little bit closer physically as well. In focus, or we've got to go a little bit. I think that's in focus. Every probe has its pros and cons, that's correct. And that was the piece of cardboard that I put up on the window falling down. If I can put it in a position that's actually gonna help you guys. I think that works okay for you to be able to see that. Let me move this camera up a little touch. So yeah, we'll let that print. And what else can I talk about? So in with regards to the touchscreen, the only touchscreen I've got on another printer is a panel due on a rep machine, and that's a very different screen. Like, I really like this BigTreeTech TFT50. The colours are really nice. It's really responsive. And if I can just work out what that issue is with the Wi-Fi, it might not even be related to the screen. What I will probably need to do is a few more tests with the screen attached and powered and everything, and then start trying disconnecting it and see if things still are an issue. But it seems to be okay at connecting to the Wi-Fi. If I just zoom out a bit, you can perhaps get a better view of the whole print. Obviously this is technically the second print, but any tuning that I'm going to have to do obviously will be done. So although I'm not preempting a bad quality print, because the first one was actually pretty good, I'm just saying the only thing I've done is input shaper, because I wanted to see what the results were basically. And that input shaper was done with the ADXL sensor on the toolhead board. And I know a lot of people have said, oh, you should try and do one sort of nearer to the nozzle. And I have actually got a nozzle, what would you call it? Basically a sensor that can attach to the nozzle, so we can certainly try other input shaper results. But yeah, it does the important thing, and that's that it spits out plastic into a physical shape. So I'm pretty happy with it so far. So like I say, if you've got anyone wants to ask a question, please feel free. We could maybe talk about Smurf that is coming up in like less than 30 days now. I don't know if anyone here is going to Smurf. I will be there. Not even sure how many people are watching, but yeah, nice to have you here anyway. So I can perhaps talk about also potentially what else I'm going to be doing with the printer and putting on the printer. So I mentioned that I couldn't do the mesh skirts, and that's because I've got some skirt buttons put in there. So we'll have like some buttons to do homing or play around with the LEDs, or I'm not quite sure why, but the camera seems to want to occasionally shut off and on again. I don't think there's anything I can do. I don't know the reason for that, that's what I'm saying. So just having a look on the back of the camera at the moment to see if there's any settings that might be causing it. But not really sure. But yeah, so I've got some skirt buttons to put in. What else have I got? I don't really want to do too much else, nor do I think that there is much more to do. You know, I made some choices early on, like I was saying, about doing can, doing stealth burner, etc. So I've got sort of the stuff I wanted to do done at the start of the build. But yeah, it's printing. I'm quite happy with how it's printing. So this has got a Dragon High Flow hot end. Now this isn't the one that came with the kit. I've saved that, and this is one that I had with another kit, but it's basically the same hot end. Everything else that came with the kit, such as linear rails, stepper motors, bearings, everything like that, it is the ones that come with the kit. I haven't changed those for anything else. So that should be fine. If you're building one or thinking about building one, they seem to work perfectly well. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the build. I really, and Richard's not here in the chat today, but he always says that he likes the color scheme, and I really do like the color scheme. One of the first things that I was thinking about when I was thinking about building a Trident is what colors do I want it, because that's a big part that I enjoy with these printers, is like selecting different colors and making it your own. So wrong way. Just see if I can focus that a bit better for you. Is that pure white? Is that pure white and purple, or marble grey white? The frame, are you talking about the actual printer? So no, the frame is just, I'm just going to call it purple, because I don't know what if they've got a different name for it, but the filament is color scheme, yeah. So the filament is from a company in the UK, actually in the same town as me. It's called Cat Yarn. It's not produced in the UK, but it's sold by this company called PrintyPlease. So the grey is Nebula Grey, or Nubla Grey. It's all the filament is sort of named after cat related things, and the purple is Cheshire Purple. So it's a grey and purple colour scheme. And the filament that we're currently printing with is, it's described as white, but it's sort of a cream white. Yeah, so the frame, obviously you don't know what the frame's going to really look like until you get it in person, but I think because it's a different enough colour from the colour filament, it actually looks quite good. And I think the camera does make the frame look a little bit darker than potentially what it is. So I don't know what everyone else's preferences for when they print ABS. I personally prefer to print on smooth PEI with glue stick, and that's purely come about from when I've been printing printer parts, that occasionally when I first started I would get I couldn't get anything to stick to textured PEI for some reason, and smooth PEI also occasionally the corners curled up, so I just used glue stick and it seemed to work a lot better, and that's what I've always used. So like I said, I'm not sure. I don't print a lot on textured PEI to be perfectly honest. So if this stays on there, I'll be quite surprised. Although the texture of the PEI is quite what's the word? Not coarse, but it's quite a dense, small texture. That I don't really know how to describe it, but it's not like some tech. It's not as bad as some textured PEI. Is what I'm trying to say. I think. So I have, like I was saying, I have got more tuning to do on this machine. I haven't really done pressure advance or extrusion multiplier. I basically just stuck a profile together, did the input shaper, and then just let it go, really. What I might do is just get this other camera set up. And then just add a camera overlay as we're speaking to this one we're looking at. That's a bit large. There we go. Just so you can, so I can be seen. Should I put it up there? Nah, we'll leave it down here. So yeah. Hey, Richard's here. Stephen says, I have been having a lot of luck with powder coated Prusa sheets. So actually I should actually say the textured sheets I've had a lot of success with, sorry, is the Fysetc sheet that I had in my V0. Like, as I was saying, I've had to use glue stick and other things to help the ABS stick. With that, I have not. Literally worked first time and didn't have to put anything on it. Yes, we're printing, Richard. Everyone saw the Cartographer doing its thing. We did a 25-point bed mesh. I had to do a bit of baby stepping down because I had done a print on the smooth side, but it wasn't quite right for the textured side. I actually haven't looked at the bed mesh it created. It's basically the same as the I'm trying to think if I can show you this screen or not. Bear with me a second and I'll see if I can do I do miss that about tap. Yeah. Tap the fixed nozzle offset. Let me just bear with me a second, see if I can pull up. Just trying to. let me go into, I think they call it studio mode. Yeah. So I can hopefully create a new scene, but that won't change for you. I can then go to window capture. That. Hold on. Capture methods. Yeah. So let me just so if you're interested in seeing the bed mesh, yeah, so just so you know, you're viewing this through the Perspex, so that's why it's not like crystal clear. Because the Perspex had that horrible paper stuff on, it's got quite a lot of static. So I need to clean the Perspex, but obviously I don't want to do that with IPA, which is about the only thing I've got out here that is a sort of I would use as a cleaner. Because IPA or anything like that and acrylic don't go well together. What I'm gonna ask you all for your bit of advice here. So on screen you've got a chat box. Is that of any use to you or not? Because before I had to reinstall Windows, I lost the chat window in OBS. So that's why I put that on screen, so I could see the chat. But because I don't get that much, there's not a lot of chat going on, right? And that's nothing bad against people watching. It seems to be running at a lag. Yeah, because it's not the YouTube chat window. It's like a Stream Elements chat window. So it isn't like yeah, it's not as quick. Bridget said I like it because it shows me the delay to the messages, which gives me a hint to how long it is until you see my message. Okay. I'll have to play around with it a bit and see what I like, because I've had to redo all my scenes and everything. So it might be that I have to change things around a bit just to get things to work right. But yeah, everything's working okay at the moment. And as I said earlier, it does what it's supposed to do. It's melting plastic into a shape. So we have a 3D printer. What's your chamber temp? Now, bearing in mind, actually, I can just like, not quite as accurate as a sort of dedicated sensor that we might put in the chamber, which is what I'm planning to do. So it will be actually a good test to see what the difference is between those two sensors. But it says 65. Okay, I have to check for leaks as I normally hit 45. Yeah, so like I said, this is pretty well sealed up. We've obviously got the foam tape around the window or around the panels. Now, actually, that will lead me on to something. And the doors, I really tried not to have the gap like I have on my 2.4. So there's like no gap down the middle at all. So it's pretty well sealed. So what I was actually going to say, and I'm glad you brought that up actually, the panels that come with the Fysetc kit aren't quite 3mm. So these panel clips on the panels and the back are for the 3mm thick panel, and then either 1 or 3mm foam tape. So if you watched the last stream, you'll see that I actually had to add extra foam tape. So that might be that I mean, and these clips aren't tight, like they can easily be turned to get on and off. So that might be sealing a lot better actually, because I've got like a little bit extra foam on there. And I've obviously got the bottom panel in. So everything is sealed up, but that will be something I do, is I'll put a second sensor in there that we'll call chamber, and we'll see what that actually does. And we'll see how far off those two sensors are. I can get about 50 to 55 in my 2.4, and I would say that the panels probably aren't as well sealed as what this one is, especially the front door. There's a big gap, well, not a big gap, there's a maybe 2 mil gap down the front of the door. I guess the Nevermore is also helping in a way, because that's circulating the air as well. But yeah, everything so far is working really well, actually. Yeah. The only place I didn't put the foam, and I don't know if I should, is in the manual. Whoops, let me flip this around. In the manual, it wants you to put a bit of foam on the extrusion. I haven't done that. I'm not sure if I will or not. Don't know if that helps with like dampening the sound, because the panel would be vibrating, but that's the only place I didn't put the foam that the manual told me to. Now, I was actually thinking of putting foam. It's weird actually, because I think what's happened, because it is heated up a bit, the panels have sort of sealed up a bit more on the door. The door was a little bit just here, basically where you've got a hinge at the bottom and a hinge at the top, but nothing in the middle. They were a little bit, you could like, they were bowed a little bit, but actually they seem to be working fine now. Yeah, on the cross extrusion, since the edges are sealed, I can only see it benefiting vibration. Yeah, but I didn't want to actually put it on the extrusion. I had thought about putting the panel on and then marking on the panel, and then putting the foam tape on the panel. But actually, for the moment, I'm not going to bother, because it doesn't seem to be that loud or anything like that. I've still got to print or come up with what I'm going to use for a spool holder. At the moment, I've got it on the desk, which is just a rep cord spool holder that goes on the rep rack, and that's just feeding up to Bowden tube. So I haven't really decided what I'm going to do for that yet. Because the plan is, well, there's always plans, but I want to get the 2.4 back in here, and then I potentially might put the Enraged Rabbit carrot feeder back onto that, and that will go in the position of where the Trident is, because I've got my rep rack above it. The Trident will probably move along, and so the spool holder, I'm not sure where that's going to go yet. I know there's an internal spool holder you can do, but I'm not sure yet. So here is actually the Voron cube that I printed yesterday on the, so this is basically the same G code. So it'll be interesting to see if, so there are excuse me, there are some artifacts on the cube, but like I say, I haven't done all the tuning yet, so it'll be interesting to see if the two cubes are similar. So let's have a look how much. So it's 80% done. ETA is about 10 or 11 minutes or so. Chamber says it's now 67 degrees. The Cartographer coil temperature is 81 degrees. think the sun is going down a bit now, so we're getting less glare. I'm not sure if Richard is still here, but he could maybe answer this question. The coil temp, that's where is that? Is there a like a thermistor on the actual coil, or is that the temperature of the chip, or what is that temperature, if you're here, Richard? We wait for the chat delay for Richard to reply if he is here. He might possibly not be here, that's fine. But yeah, let me show you on the so the way I have my NG code set up is that excuse me, I allow 5 minutes at the end for the Nevermore to continue going for 5 minutes before the printer, or before Clipper thinks that the print has actually ended. So although this will go off and this will finish doing the print, it still thinks it's printing. Just plugged in my Manta MP5 and CB1 and no smoke. That's always a good day then. Well done. You said this was going on your was it I can't remember, is it an AM8? And you're converting that over to Clipper. AM8, yeah. Have you used Clipper much before, Scott? I have to say I am a bit of a convert. First time trying Clipper. I think you'll really like it. I think once you get used to it, I would say for someone who's used Marlin, Rat firmware and Clipper, Clipper does sit nicely in the middle. Rat firmware gives you that sort of G-code based config, that web interface, and Clipper is more to the style of Marlin in its like the commands it uses, but it gives you that not having to recompile, gives you the web interface, and it just opens up a lot of the options. So like, I mean, obviously, actually, I was gonna say input shaper, but that is now on. That's on everything anyway. But the method for doing things is a lot easier with Clipper, and particularly the multi MCU element works really well. Like, so on a V0, for example, the ones that have the screen that's got its own MCU, it's literally plug it in, run a command to make sure if it's already got its firmware and everything on, just run one command, get its address, and then you put that in your config and you're done. Access to Clipper interface, time to wire it up. Nice. Okay, yeah. To be honest, I don't do that much like pause and resume stuff. So I'm not sure, but like you say, but if it runs it in a certain way, then there could be that delay. It's actually quite a bright LED to be able to get a good there you go, that's done. Let me see if I can focus in on that cube a bit better. That's about as good as I can focus it. So that goes off, parks itself at the back, and temperatures are now off, so everything is now cooling down. Let me switch you over. So the only disadvantage of doing this the way I do is that because everything else is now cooling down, you can't, like if you was to want to take the filament out, you can't actually do anything at the moment because it's running that 5 minutes for Nevermore. So yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark the bottom of this cube, and this is the one I printed yesterday, and then I can look at the one that comes out in a minute, and we can compare the two so you know which one I've just put a X on the bottom of that, so you know which one we're looking at basically. But I'm not expecting it to be like perfect, but I'm also not expecting it to be like terrible either. So I think my music stopped. It's going to run an ad. There we go. But yeah, so as we were sort of talking about Clipper. I would say I am a convert to Clipper. I do really like it. Yeah, it looks okay. We're just gonna let it cool down a bit more. I mean, the problem, because the fairly large mass of the bed, it is actually going to stay quite toasty in there for quite a while. The chamber got up to about, did it get to 70 or not? Where's the chamber? So we didn't quite get to 70, so it's 69. 69. Then we got to 69 degrees. Or that sensor is telling us it got to 69 degrees. Once we get a standalone chamber temperature thermistor in there, we'll know for sure. Oh, so it's, yeah, so it's still running that 5-minute countdown. I just changed the chamber LED color, but it's not going to do that until it basically catches up with itself. So I was just playing around, really. So I plan to install what's called LED effects, which is a script that can run and control the LEDs to so you can basically have the LEDs change color when it's, and there you go. So we've now finished our 5 minutes of Nevermore, and we've got some messages to read. Which cam board did you use, James? Collie. So that is a SB2209 from BigTreeTech, and it's the non, so it's not the RB2041, which means it's got the really annoying little connectors on. So if you were to be looking to get one, I would perhaps suggest the RP2041 because it has bigger connectors. Stephen's saying I have a Manta and a CB1 in a box, now looking at ordering a 250/300 Trident, so I may use them in that. Few components that would have met me at 3 Vorons, 2 rack rigs, 3 Pruses, and resin doesn't count. So Graham is asking, late arrival, just saw your dashboard, what does IDM coil? So the IDM coil is, that is the eddy current bed leveling sensor, and that's a Cartographer 3D probe, which I will grab a link for. So they are currently sold out because the demand was such that they need to be restocked. But that is basically a eddy current sensor. So an eddy current sensor is basically a probe that sweeps the bed and takes measurements in a really fast motion. But I'm not all up on all the tech, so go and have a look at that website and you can sort of get a picture of what that is. But it's it's another version of a beacon, if you've heard what that is. So it's just an eddy current sensor basically. Let's see if we can, if the Brent would be willing to come off the bed. Definitely pretty warm in there. There we go. I'm just going to compare them I probably could have gone. It's not, the bottom's not too bad. So let me orientate these correct. I would say that they are basically identical, and identical in the sense that there is some flaws on there. There's no getting around it, but they are both the same. So that tells me that it's just a matter of tuning, really. But yeah, I mean, if I can get it on to this screen, what's that? Wrong way. So I'm not going to about get as close. Oh, actually, I can zoom in. You can see there's a few. If I put it in an angle, that'll obviously get worse. That I would imagine is. What's the word? That'll come to me in a minute. Pressure advance. So we could probably sort a bit of that out with some pressure advance. And I would say that's pretty much what the issue is on the whole thing. Minor shift in the Y. It's more to do with where it's sort of doing. I'm trying to get that in a bit of light. But I don't think it's necessarily a shift. It's more to do with like where it's starting and ending like particular areas of the print. Let me just try to read your messages while I'm also trying to show you the print. Wait, no, that's Z, but as you say, can be tuned out. Yeah. I mean, it's not bad, right? The bridger was quite good. Looks like there's a little bit of old filament stuck in there, come off the nozzle. Top layer was pretty good. Really hard to look at the screen and move the print at the same time. But I would also put a lot also down to potentially filament, because it's not exactly the best filament. Does the bearing fit? I would have to find one. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's one. I think I have got some, but I'm not entirely sure where they are. If you just bear with me a second, I'm gonna put the Be Right Back sign up and then move some cameras around, and I'll be back. Just bear with me. Okay. Let me get this back to the right place. So, I think my bearings are in this box. So, let me just see if I have got one that will fit. I think they're too big. See if I can get one of these out, see if they are the right ones. No, that's the wrong size. Maybe it was the other ones that I thought were too big. It's the flange bearing, isn't it, that goes in here? Let me see if this camera is going to be the best one to show you. Is that the right bearing? If I can get it out now. So it went in okay. I have to give it a poke from the other end. If it fits, it's good. There we go. So that, as you can, just going to show you that that's the one with the mark on. So that was the one I printed yesterday. And then this is the one from today. That goes in nice. I've actually got two of them, so I could put one in the other one as well, just to show you. There you go. Leave that bag out. I don't know, it looks like the picture on this one is better than the main one, but there you go. Let's put this box away. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, they fit nicely. Like I say, that the filament might not like be the best filament either. That could account for some of the marks we're seeing. I'm just going to turn that one off. Move this over here. I'll just take these things off the bed. Feel quite warm in here. Yeah, so that definitely didn't get stuck down quite as well as it could have done until I baby stepped it, but I may have to give the PEI sheet a go without any additives or anything, and just see how long. See if that does well for me. Like, I mean, if I just look at this, like, without trying to get harsh angles on or anything, it looks pretty good. So there's a little bit of inconsistency perhaps on the Z as well. So that might have to have a look at. Now, the reason actually that this hot end, I had this in another printer and I actually was having bad prints with it, but then when I went to change it, I actually found that it was loose in the extruder, so that's why I assumed there was nothing wrong with it. But I might have to do some cold pulls and maybe change the nozzle and everything just to see if that's all okay. But those two prints look fine to me. I'd use that quality on other things, so yeah, pretty happy with it. So I think that sort of does it for the Trident in live stream form, in a series of live streams. Like I say, I've got some buttons that I'm going to be putting in here. That may be like a separate video rather than a live stream. And then what else? I've got the CNC carbon tap to put on the 2.4. Again, if there's anyone new joins and you've got some suggestions on how we can, or how I can sort of test the carbon fiber tap compared to like a stock setup, then please put them suggestions in the chat. So I was thinking I'm just going to do like obviously an input shaping thing. So what I'm going to do is let me just have a look at the bottom of that. I could probably go down a little bit more. I'm going to save the Z probe. We'll apply that. That's now going to reboot. And then obviously when this starts up, we should get our original. Here we go. Is that the RP 2040 version or the new one? What part are you talking about? 3D printer go burr. Nice. If you're talking about the CAN board, then no, it's the other version, the SB2209, the probe. Yep, that is the Cartographer RP 2040 probe. It's not the CAN version, which I'm not even sure if Richard's got them yet. I know they're coming, they're being made. So yeah, so just talking about things that I'm going to be doing. I want to try, I don't know if anyone else is like me, but I like to have like panel clips all symmetrical. I'm going to try and improve the setup because I'm not like particularly happy with like this camera view. Doesn't, I don't know, like the whole, I haven't got a lot of room in here, that's the issue. So what is your chamber temperature measured from? It's measured from the CAN board. So that is going to be something that I'm going to put in a standard, just a standard cartridge thermistor, and have it as a separate sensor, and then we can actually see if there's a difference between them. I suspect there will be, because obviously the CAN board, obviously it's in an enclosed space. It's got other temperatures around it which are going to affect that. So I will definitely be putting a sensor just out in the chamber so we can measure a more realistic chamber temperature. But other than, yeah, I'm pretty happy with, like I say, these doors. They're probably a little too tight now, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it just means that this one just needs like lifting up a little bit and it then clicks into place. But that's a really nice tight seal. But yeah. So basically I think in terms of live streams and the Trident build, I think we're done now. I know it started off as more of a showing you how to build it type live stream series, and then it sort of turned into more here's some stuff I've done off stream, hit you up, and then we do a little bit and show you a little bit. I think that's the way I prefer to do it. Like, I'm not, because of the setup and the limited space I've got, it's not very easy to build and show you at the same time. So I think what the next lot of streams are going to be are just going to be more come and hang out type streams. I've got no, well, I was going to say I've got no builds planned, but I want to convert one of my V0s to something else. I've got no new printer builds, I should say. There'll probably be another 1 or 2 streams. Let's see the carbon tap kit. So let me bring this other camera over. That seems to do a little bit better at sort of the more close-up stuff. So we'll have a look at what's in the whole box. So a little bit of foam. You get a printed end stop adapter and then a rail guide. You need to take the rail off. You get your cable to go in your tap sensor to tool head board. It looks like you got like three connectors for some reason. We got some, what I assume is extra hardware, and then the actual tap itself. Let me put this box down. So I can get you some better light. That's a bit better, isn't it? Yeah, it does look well sexy, man. This is the Owen rail version. Actually, I like the Voron logo in there, actually. That's probably my favourite bit. This is a 24 or 5 and 24 volt sensor board. Yeah, it looks really nice. So this is going to go on my 2.4, which is next door. And at the same time as fitting this, I'm actually going to finally run the wires for the LEDs in the stealth burner. But yeah, looks really nice. Any questions about that? Yeah, I'm not sure what those screws are for. They're probably for, where is it from? It's from Fysetc. So I guess if it wasn't relatively apparent already Fysetc are very kind at sending me stuff for the channel and for my printers. So yeah, so that's from Fysetc. So they actually sent me a few different things recently, which I can also show you, I suppose. So that's their carbon fiber tap. We've got a nozzle input shaper, which is what I'm going to be using to do the comparisons. I've actually already opened this one, so I'd have a look. Let me switch your camera over. So what I can actually show you. So this is going to go on my 2.4, as I said, and the 2.4 has got a Revo in, and the nozzle for Revo does actually fit through quite nicely. So this will sit in the hot end to do tests really easily. I think the nozzle probes, nozzle sensors are good. What I less like about them is the fact that you've got to remove the nozzle and do this, run the test, then put the nozzle back in, and it's just a lot of effort. So I'm quite happy that that goes over the Revo nozzle. So that did actually come with the USB cable as well, with the right connector on. So they actually sent me 2 of these. We haven't, that's not really been discussed with them yet, but I may potentially be giving one away. So I know they potentially have got a live stream coming up in the next couple of weeks. So there might be a giveaway for a nozzle input shaper, and that will be unfortunately UK only, just because it makes it a lot easier for me. They also sent so this is the skirt keyboard kit. So that's obviously going to go into the Trident. So you get all the cables for that. USB lead. I might as well take these out and show you. So these are the skirt buttons, hotkeys. They're really interesting actually. So the top 2 here are permanently joined, and these are like your control MCU side of things, and then you connect the other buttons to these. And I've actually got a plan to, and I'm not going to make any promises because I don't know how good my, oh, thank you Windows for telling me about that. I don't plan on using all of these in the Trident, so I plan to do one skirt with buttons in, and then I'd like to potentially try and use the spare buttons for another project. So yeah, I don't know how well that's going to work, but we'll see. So yeah, so Fysetc sent me a few little things. So yeah, that was it. Has anyone got any questions, or want to ask anything. Gonna remove this bit of filament. I'll probably leave the ABS in there for now. So yeah, so as you can see, like the stream sort of very suddenly diverted to a more hanging out type stream, which is what I prefer. I don't really like the trying to show you how to do something type stream. Plus I'm the sort of person who likes to just come and do something on a project like the Trident. It got really hard for me once I got into the build to not do anything for a week. I like to just get on with the project once it's started. So if anyone's interested, I will grab a link for the carbon fiber tap. Might as well get you a link so you can look at it if you were interested. So this is like many of the other links in my, oops, I don't know how that's actually going to come out. Hold on. So this is an affiliate link if anyone is interested in purchasing CNC tap. Yeah, not sure if how I'd handle streams. That gap between when doing weekly is torture, even as yeah, exactly. Yeah, if it's bad enough watching someone do something every week, just imagine being the actual person who's building it. Yeah, I'd rather do streams. I mean, stuff that's going to be like a one stream thing, like potentially fitting the CNC tap or having a play with the nozzle ADXL sensor, stuff like that. That I don't mind doing on stream. But the problem with trying to show you how to do something when you're kind of learning yourself is quite difficult. And because I like to just finish a project when it's started. So yeah, I will do other builds on streams because I prefer doing streams than recording videos, but they will take the form of just hang out with me while I do a bit on stream, but know that I'm doing other stuff off stream. So and I don't know if you're watching this and you can tell me if the video quality looks okay, then I'll be really interested, because as I said, I had to reinstall Windows, and I think just because I hadn't installed Windows on here for years, things were just messing up and things weren't working quite the way they should. Because to me, the quality looks a lot better since having to reinstall Windows and OBS, and even my internet connection is better. So I think there might have been something on my laptop that was actually causing the internet to not be as good as it could be. So yeah. it's a little cloudy, but that also depends on the camera bandwidth settings. Yeah, I think the problem is also in this room that it's quite bright, and because the camera is currently on manual focus, I might not actually be in focus that well. But like if I'm looking on my laptop screen, this looks really good. In fact, this little camera looks really good as well. And this is just like a relatively cheap action cam. But this is the sort of thing I want to try and improve, is to improve the quality going forward, basically. So I have sort of, not big plans, but I plan to sort of move some stuff around. That has more color depth, I think. Yeah. And I don't know if that's because I'm using the it's quite good actually, so you can see the camera in the background. I don't know how much control I have over that camera from within OBS, or if I need to actually do some stuff on the camera. But before, I don't think I was actually streaming in the highest quality the camera could do, whereas now I think it is, but I don't know why that would be. So yeah, I don't want to play around with it while I'm using it, but I will certainly be having a better look into settings and everything like that. And like, if I just switch you over to this camera, so I kind of plan, hopefully, to be able to move my laser cutter out of here, which will give me more room over here to potentially have a desk going this way, so I can sit at a desk to do stuff rather than for me to stand up. But yeah, you get to have a little look around. So that's my E3D tool changer, which I don't use, and I'm hoping to, well, would like to try and sell it, but that's proven a little bit more difficult. There's my laser cutter, some filament, some V0s, and a MakerBot Thingomatic. My laptop, and then obviously the Trident. So there's not, I mean, like I probably could get this so you could see like the entire room. Well, the camera's not really long enough, but yeah, like that's the entire room. So there's not really a lot of room in here to do a lot of stuff, which is why I want to potentially move stuff around. So there'll probably be another 1 or 2 streams, and then we'll be at Smurf. So is there anyone in the chat going to Smurf? The Sanjay and Mortimer Rep Festival in Oxford? Too far for you, that one. Roughly, where are you, Stephen, if you don't mind me asking? It's only a couple of hours for me. I'm on the East Coast. Plus, with it being the first one, yeah, it might be a little bit far for you, yeah. Have you been to any of the US rap festivals? I would potentially like to go to one of them maybe next year. I don't know. I haven't actually got a valid passport at the moment, so, but that might be an option. But with it being the first one this year, I've I've kind of got to go. It's one of those things, really. Plus the opportunity to see a lot of the people I watch on YouTube who are going to be there is something I really wanted to do. Murphy's 30 minutes away, been 3 years running. Precision projects. Well, you either need to come over here or set one up. Next year going to Earth as well. Which one have they renamed? The Printopia or whatever they've called it. Scott says, I'd like to go, but I'm not really sure if I will. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things, and I think the problem is we have tried to do 3D printer things, but they've never really lasted very long. Whereas I think, hopefully, because E3D are behind this, it might be something that continues and gets bigger and bigger. Lived in the UK for 12 years. Yuck. Not sure, not really. Not sure, not really one for rebranding. It's confusing. Looks like I have to start an Australian one then, yeah. Yeah, so I know I can't even. There was 3D Meetup UK. I think that was that for a couple of years, but that was like pretty small, and it didn't really attract. Like, it wasn't. The problem is, I don't think that it was on enough people's radar to get the big celebs over, if you want to call them that. Whereas hopefully this, well, it's obviously going to have quite a lot of people in the first one, but I'm hoping that it's something that goes on for a lot longer. My only concern is with it being in Oxford and not being a particularly easy place to, what's the word? Like TCT show, for example, at the NEC, people who can drive there, massive car parks, spend the day there, go away. With Oxford, that's a little bit harder to do. Yeah, we had 3D Meetup UK. I went the first year, but yeah, it wasn't very big. Byron Smith will be quite large. Yeah. So that's the thing. I think we need in the UK to have that that show with the people behind it that's going to try and keep it going. What I think what they do need to do is have it in a location that's more central to the UK and that's more just more accessible, if that's the right word. Like, I'm getting a hotel for a couple of days, and I'm probably going to get the train, just because finding somewhere to park for 2 days is a little bit difficult. Community accessible, yeah. I think TCT show in Birmingham is accessible, but the problem is TCT show is not, in recent years, it's not been very I was gonna say hobbyist, but I guess I mean more consumer. it's a lot more corporate. I think that's the problem. I don't think I'm actually in focus here. Quite hard to do at arm's reach. That's probably less in focus now. I don't know. Yeah, so I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you. Yeah, industrial versus hobbyist, there needs to be a balance. Yeah. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I think we've built a trident. I've shown you the trident. I'm really happy with it. I'm going to have to do obviously some tuning, and like this is only the second time it's printed, so we've got to do a bit of shakedown, and then yeah. So the next stream I do, I'm not sure if that will be next week or the week after, will be just a hangout stream really, and we'll see what we do. Yeah, so thanks for coming. Check out the I always forget to do this. Is another problem with doing like streams. Obviously thank you to Fysetc, who were kind enough to give me the kit to build. Thank you to PrintyPlease, who supplied the filament. Really love these colors. The glittery ABS is really nice. And thank you to BigTreeTech for the TFT. Links in the description. So yeah, thanks for coming. Yeah, thank you. Any questions about this build or this Trident kit in particular, you can either leave it in the comments, or there's a link to the Fysetc Discord server, which I'm on most of the time, so I can answer questions on there. So thank you for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope I was relatively entertaining. Yeah, so thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.